When Amelia Chin walked into her high school chemistry class that morning, she had no idea her life was about to unravel. The top student of her graduating class, admired by her teachers, respected by her peers, now stood accused of something she swore she didn't do, cheating. It was supposed to be just another exam. But when her teacher stood over her desk, holding her test paper with a disappointed scowl, she realized something was wrong. Accusations flew. Her spotless reputation was suddenly under fire. But Amelia wasn't just going to sit back and accept the blame. She knew she was innocent, and she was determined to prove it. What she didn't expect was that in trying to clear her name, she'd uncover a secret so dark, so twisted, it had been buried beneath years of silence. And the man pointing the finger at her? He was hiding far more than just a grudge. This is not just a story about a cheating scandal. It's about lies, manipulation, and a teacher with something to hide. Before we dive deeper into this chilling tale, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Now, let's go back to where it all began. Amelia Chin had always been that student. The one who sat in the front row with perfectly color-coded notes, who stayed after class to ask thoughtful questions, who teachers secretly wished all their students could be like. Her reputation wasn't built overnight. It was the product of late-night study sessions, weekends spent at the library instead of parties, and a deep-rooted belief that hard work always paid off. At Ridgewood High, a competitive school tucked away in a quiet town, Amelia was a shining star. She was set to graduate as valedictorian, already accepted into an Ivy League college with a full scholarship. Her peers admired her. Her parents were proud. Her teachers, especially Mr. Calloway, her AP chemistry instructor, constantly held her up as an example. But beneath the surface of her achievements, Amelia was exhausted. The pressure to be perfect weighed on her like a second skin. Still, she never cracked. Not until the day of the final chemistry exam. That morning, Amelia arrived early as usual. She reviewed her notes in silence while the rest of the class filtered in. Mr. Calloway entered just as the bell rang, his expression unreadable. He passed out the exams without a word. It was a tough test, even by his standards, but Amelia felt ready. She filled in answers with steady hands, confident in every formula, every reaction. But when she turned in her paper, she noticed something strange. Mr. Calloway didn't even look at it. He just stared at her. Not with pride, with suspicion. Amelia shrugged it off. Maybe he was having a bad day. But the next morning, she was summoned to the principal's office. There, with her test paper laid out in front of her, Mr. Calloway declared that Amelia had cheated. He claimed her answers were too similar to another student's, that she must have seen the questions in advance, that her performance was unnaturally perfect. For a moment, she couldn't speak. She felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. "You think I cheated?" she finally said, barely above a whisper. "You think I would risk everything for a single test?" But her words fell on deaf ears. The principal seemed hesitant, almost apologetic. Mr. Calloway, on the other hand, stood firm. Certain. That's when something in Amelia snapped. She'd spent years building her future, and now it was crumbling because of one man's word? No, she wasn't going to let that happen. What began as a desperate attempt to clear her name soon turned into something darker. Amelia started digging, not just into her own accusation but into Mr. Calloway himself. And what she found was the beginning of a truth no one was ready to face. Amelia didn't cry when she left the principal's office. She didn't scream or plead. She walked out calmly, her mind already racing. Something about the way Mr. Calloway looked at her, cold, calculated, didn't sit right. This wasn't just a teacher being overly cautious. This felt personal. That evening, Amelia opened her laptop, not to study but to search. She started by revisiting her own test paper. Line by line, she compared her answers to the formula sheets the school had provided. Everything matched standard procedure, nothing that couldn't be figured out with enough effort. Yet Mr. Calloway claimed her responses were suspiciously too precise. What did that even mean? The next day, Amelia quietly began talking to other students who had taken Mr. Calloway's class in the past. Some of them mentioned odd things. A student 2 years ago who had also been accused of cheating but left the school quietly. Another who said she felt uncomfortable around him but never explained why. A few even hinted at favoritism, usually towards students who didn't perform well. That's when Amelia's curiosity turned into obsession. She requested copies of old exams. She analyzed answer patterns. She compared grades across semesters. Slowly, a pattern emerged. Anytime a top-performing female student surpassed expectations on a major test, Mr. Calloway raised concerns, but only privately, never in writing. Some girls transferred out, some quietly accepted lower grades. But no one had ever fought back. Until now. One afternoon, Amelia stayed behind after class under the pretense of asking a question. She left her phone recording in her pocket. She asked Mr. Calloway why he believed she cheated, and his answer was vague. "Sometimes it's not about what's written on the paper," he said. "It's about instinct." Instinct? Amelia was stunned. That wasn't evidence. That was bias. And in his tone she detected something deeper. Not just suspicion but resentment. Like he didn't believe she deserved to be top of the class. Like excellence in her hands was somehow a threat. That night, Amelia sent the audio clip to her parents and attached a detailed report of her findings. Her parents, alarmed and furious, arranged a meeting with the school board. But Amelia wasn't done yet. Something inside her still burned. Because even if she proved her innocence, how many others had this man quietly crushed? How many stories had gone unheard? And so she kept digging. And within days she uncovered something far more disturbing than just academic manipulation. A secret from Mr. Calloway's past that had been buried for over a decade. Amelia sat at her desk, staring at the flickering cursor on her laptop. Her textbooks lay untouched beside her, their importance dwarfed by the storm swirling around her name. Accused of cheating. Suspended. Branded a liar by whispers in hallways she once ruled with silent respect. But none of it made sense. Why would Mr. Dalton, the charismatic chemistry teacher known for being tough but fair, single her out like this? She thought back to the moment he handed her the accusation report. His eyes hadn't held disappointment. They held something colder. Calculated. Controlled. And then it hit her. This wasn't about cheating. This was personal. With the fire of determination only someone falsely accused can summon, Amelia decided to fight back. Not just for herself, but because deep down she felt there was more to Mr. Dalton than anyone was willing to admit. The school administration had declined her request to review classroom surveillance footage. Their excuse? The cameras had malfunctioned that day. Another coincidence? No, it felt too clean. Amelia, a top student with a talent for coding, did something she'd never done before. She broke a rule. Late at night, under the glow of her desk lamp, she accessed the school's internal systems. A network she'd helped build during her sophomore year as part of the tech club. What she found sent a chill down her spine. Buried in archive communications was an odd pattern, disciplinary reports tied to cheating or misconduct. And they all had one thing in common, Mr. Dalton. But what stood out most were the names, students she remembered vaguely. Brilliant, driven, like her, and gone. No goodbyes, no explanations, just gone. One name in particular jumped out, Lena Reyes, valedictorian candidate 2 years ago. Amelia remembered the announcement of Lena's sudden withdrawal, just weeks before graduation. No one ever explained why. The deeper Amelia went, the more twisted the web became. Emails between Mr. Dalton and administrators hinted at troublesome students and disciplinary actions handled internally. She even stumbled across a red flag document titled Incident 48. It had been locked, but Amelia bypassed the security, and what she read next made her heart race. It was Lena's statement, a written complaint describing inappropriate comments made by Mr. Dalton, attempts at grooming, and his threats when she tried to report him. Within 2 weeks of filing that complaint, Lena was accused of plagiarizing her final thesis and forced out under a mutual agreement. It was happening again, and this time to Amelia. She leaned back, breathing heavily. Mr. Dalton had a method, a pattern, a system. Use power to prey. Use status to silence. But not this time. Because Amelia wasn't going away quietly. The rain tapped gently on Amelia's window as she stared at the faded name on her screen. Lena Reyes. There were no recent posts, no updates, just a single tagged photo from over 2 years ago. It had a soft filter and Lena's eyes were downcast. The caption read, "Sometimes silence is survival." It gave Amelia chills. She had to find her. After hours of digital sleuthing, she found a lead. Lena had once volunteered at a women's shelter in a nearby city. Amelia reached out to the organization with a heartfelt message. Days passed with no reply. But then late one night her phone buzzed. Unknown number. One message. "You found me. I hope you're ready for the truth." They agreed to meet at a quiet cafe on the outskirts of town. Amelia arrived early, heart pounding, palms damp with anticipation. When Lena walked in, Amelia barely recognized her. Her hair was shorter, her eyes more guarded. She carried herself like someone who had learned to expect betrayal. They sat across from each other in a corner booth, a low hum of conversation around them. "I was like you once," Lena began, her voice barely above a whisper. "Smart. I trusted the system." Amelia listened intently as Lena recounted how Mr. Dalton had slowly gained her trust, complimenting her intelligence, offering after-school tutoring, and then crossing lines. When she pushed back, he retaliated with rumors, accusations, a full-scale smear campaign. He said no one would believe me. And he was right, Lena said bitterly. "I went from valedictorian to ghost overnight." Amelia's hands tightened into fists beneath the table. "Why didn't you go public?" "I tried," Lena replied. "But there was no evidence. And the school board? They protected him. Too afraid of the scandal." Amelia pulled out her flash drive and slid it across the table. "I have evidence. Emails. Files. Your complaint. He's doing it again, to me." Lena stared at it, the weight of validation washing over her for the first time in years. Her eyes welled up. "I'll help you," she said. "But we need more. Dalton is protected. To bring him down, we'll have to expose everything, and everyone who helped cover it up." Amelia nodded, her fear replaced with resolve. They were no longer just victims. They were witnesses. And now they were a team. The cafe emptied out as evening shadows stretched across the street, but Amelia and Lena remained locked in conversation. What started as a whisper of truth was now shaping into a full-blown strategy. "This won't work unless we build pressure from the outside in," Lena said, pulling out a worn notebook. She flipped to a page filled with names. Other students, past staff members, even a guidance counselor who'd mysteriously transferred schools. Amelia leaned forward. "You think they'll talk?" "Some won't. They're scared. But a few?" Lena nodded. "They're just waiting for someone to ask the right questions." They divided the list. Over the next few weeks, Amelia and Lena met with former students who'd left under strange circumstances. Quiet girls who suddenly dropped out, star athletes who lost scholarships after vague disciplinary actions. One by one, the stories started to echo each other. The same manipulation, the same threats, the same man, Mr. Dalton. Then Lena reached out to someone unexpected. Miss Harper, a retired English teacher who had clashed with Dalton years ago. She met them at a park, sunglasses low on her nose, nervous but curious. "I always knew there was something rotten under his charm," Miss Harper said, voice firm. "But every time I raised concerns, the principal shut it down. They protected him because he brought in awards. Good PR." She handed Amelia a manila folder. Inside, an unsigned letter. A whistleblower complaint she had written but never submitted. "I was scared back then," Miss Harper admitted. "But if you're doing this, you're not alone." With mounting evidence, Amelia and Lena decided to go public, but carefully. They created an anonymous email address and sent a digital packet to 3 local journalists, including audio clips, screenshots, and redacted witness statements. Amelia knew it was risky. Dalton had friends in high places. But they had something stronger now, truth and momentum. Then they crafted a final step, a video. Filmed in Lena's apartment with the blinds drawn tight, Amelia faced the camera. Her voice trembled at first, but as she spoke, it grew stronger. "My name is Amelia Torres. I was accused of cheating by Mr. Dalton. But this story isn't just about me. It's about every student who was silenced, every dream that was stolen. And it's time we speak." They posted it anonymously. Within 24 hours, it went viral. Thousands of shares. Hundreds of comments. Former students began tagging each other. Alumni came forward. Parents demanded answers. Local reporters called the school for statements. And for the first time, silence wasn't an option. Dalton's carefully built persona was starting to crack. The morning after the video dropped, the air around the school felt electric. Students gathered in hushed clusters, whispering as they scrolled through their phones. Teachers avoided eye contact. And Mr. Dalton? For the first time in years, he didn't show up to first period. Inside the principal's office, chaos had erupted. Emails flooded in. Parents demanding explanations, reporters requesting interviews, and alumni threatening to sue if the school didn't act. The administration had spent years sweeping things under the rug. Now the rug had been ripped away. By noon, a news van was parked outside the school gates. Amelia watched from a distance, heart thudding, unsure whether to feel fear or pride. She had expected some attention. But not this. The district superintendent issued a brief statement. We are taking the allegations seriously and have placed Mr. Dalton on immediate administrative leave pending investigation. But the real turning point came that night. Channel 7 News aired a full segment on the scandal. They played clips from Amelia's video, blurred out interviews with Lena and 2 other students who had come forward, and even snippets from Ms. Harper's letter. For the first time, the community was hearing the story, not Dalton's version but the truth. The comments section exploded with support. "I had him too. Something always felt off. Thank you for your bravery, Amelia. Shame on the school for protecting him this long." By the end of the week, 5 more former students had come forward. 2 parents demanded a formal inquiry. And an independent investigative journalist from a national outlet requested an interview with Amelia. The school board had no choice. They held a town hall meeting, one that overflowed with angry parents, heartbroken alumni, and teary-eyed students. The air was thick with decades of suppressed rage. Amelia didn't attend, but Lena did. She stood in the back recording everything. When a school official finally took the mic and attempted to defend the board's past actions, the crowd erupted. Shouts echoed off the walls. "Cover up." Where was this energy when we spoke up? Protect students, not predators. That night, the board voted unanimously to open an external investigation. Dalton's name was removed from the school's honor wall. His photos taken down. His legacy tarnished. But Amelia knew this wasn't just about punishment. This was about reclaiming their voices. And in doing so, they'd made sure that no student, ever again, would be silenced the way they had been. Months passed. The leaves had started to fall when the official report was released. Over 11 students had come forward with similar stories, spanning more than a decade. Mr. Dalton was formally charged with misconduct and obstruction, and while the criminal case took its course, the court of public opinion had already made its judgment. The school issued a public apology. Not just to Amelia, but to every student who'd been ignored, every voice that had been silenced. They instituted new policies, mandated third-party oversight, and brought in counselors to help students process everything that had happened. For the first time, change didn't feel like a promise. It felt real. Amelia, meanwhile, was doing her best to return to normal. The whispers had faded. Instead, she was now greeted with nods, quiet respect, even from students who'd once doubted her. Some still avoided eye contact. That was fine. She hadn't done it for their approval. She walked the halls with her head held high, not because everything was perfect, but because she had stood up when it mattered most. Ms. Harper reached out, thanking Amelia for speaking the truth she hadn't been able to voice. They met for coffee one rainy afternoon, 2 former students from different decades, bound by the same fire. "You didn't just speak up," Ms. Harper told her. "You ended something that should have ended years ago." Lena got into journalism school. She said the experience had shaped her future. "We tell stories," she told Amelia one night, "so the lies don't win." And as for Amelia, she wrote her college essay about the time she was falsely accused, and how that accusation led to a revolution in a small-town school with big secrets. It got her a full scholarship. Sometimes, the darkest moments force us to become the light. Amelia didn't just survive the betrayal. She exposed it. She transformed it. And she made sure that even if the world had once turned a blind eye, it would never be able to look away again. Amelia's story proves one thing. Even when the system tries to silence you, the truth has a way of screaming through the cracks. If this story moved you, don't scroll just yet. Tap like to support real stories that deserve to be heard. Drop a comment. What would you have done in Amelia's shoes? And if you believe more people need to hear stories like this, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because we're just getting started. Truth leaves footprints. Let's follow them, together.